Alright, that should be streaming to YouTube there. And oh, it looks like we're live. It looks like we're live. It looks like we have gone live for the first time during Crossbow Appreciation Month. And we're going to see if that's going to work. Is it working? Can you hear me? Probably going to have to mute my speakers. Otherwise, we're going to get some buffering in here. It looks like it's working. It looks like it's working on my end. I have changed things around a little bit in here, and I was starting to regret it because here it is, 6:59. This starts at 7 o'clock. Crossbow Appreciation Month, Day 2. And here I am farting around with this thing at the last minute. Not knowing whether it's working or not. I would appreciate some shout outs for folks. Hello, Rich, welcome back from Bill Russell. Bill Russell, how are you? Thank you very much for that. You have just confirmed that this is in fact working. I'm going to take my little chat here and pop that out to where I can see it, because the way I've got this thing set up, I've moved things around a little bit on purpose. The air conditioner pretty much has to be on. With the computer running, this room is going to heat right up. And also, I've got the microphone pointing away from the air conditioner, pointing at me. So hopefully you'll be able to see me okay. Hopefully got enough light in this room. The other thing I would point out, if I were able to do, and I'm not upset in this delicate balance, because if I start moving the camera around or anything like that, I will regret it. But the room, I don't know. You guys got to see it. You got to see it. Got to see it. The room is a wreck. The room does not have its previously viewed, what you used to see. If you look at all that ugly wallpaper, all the studio foam has been taken down. So this room is a lot different from the way that it previously was. And the reason for that is, just like you saw in our thumbnail, it's because we're moving. We are moving. And that is a picture of our new house. And that's something that means an awful lot to Death by Bungie, that's for sure. It's going to change things in the Kingdom of Bunjie. The Kingdom of Bunjie, the kingdom itself, the castle itself is moving. Well, the castle is moving, but the occupants of that castle are moving to a new house. And that's something I've shared on Facebook a little bit, talked about that, and we'll talk about that here. I wanted to talk to folks because I know that that is something that people would be like, whoa, what's going on with that? You have, you got that beautiful place that you live in, and you have access to all that place to hunt on and all that. And I wanted you to have a little bit more of the story to see how this story is progressing. Things are changing in the Kingdom of Bunjie, and you're going to hear in Crossbow Appreciation Month and beyond, you're going to hear a lot of new things. Let's start by doing some shout outs here, though. Then we'll go through some further details on all of that. And we've got a couple of trivia questions coming up on this. I hope you guys remember the trivia questions. Remember when we did these live streams more regularly back during the hunting season last year? I did some trivia questions. I'm going to give folks an opportunity to win a really cool sticker. A sticker that you can place on your vehicle, or your crossbow case, or your guitar case, or on your bedroom window, whatever you want to do, right? So what we're going to do, hopefully that will be acceptable. Hopefully that will be something that you get a kick of out of down the road. So it still looks like we're streaming okay, but I'm going to go through these comments. The reason I want to go through those comments is to say hello to everybody, and I want to go through and make sure that things are working. And if I get to the bottom and find out that things aren't working, you can't hear me, can't see me, something like that. Moose Junction Hunter, hello to you. Tim Roof, Bill Russell, Michael Lear, hello. Mike Holly, we've got Rigor Mortis. Just finished some target shooting. That's pretty cool. I did a little bit of that this weekend myself. I hope all of you are getting some of that out there. That's awesome. James Skaggsdown, Missouri, hello to you. PA Outdoorsman, that sounds like somebody I would get along with. I like that. I'm glad to have you here. We've got Rick Everly Grove Mechanic out in Michigan. I don't want to scroll through too fast here. If I move this stuff too quick, I lose my place. We got people from Mississippi, Texas. We've got Texas represented on a Death by Bungie live stream. How cool is that? Tim Adams, hello to you. Good to hear from you. And Daniel Garcia, another name that I recognize, a friend of Bungie from way back. Been around a long time, and I really appreciate the support of you folks. I really do. Everybody that takes time out of their schedule to join us on a live stream, that's what makes these live streams fun. We get a chance to all talk. We all get a chance to share some stuff. Hopefully you get something out of it. A little bit of more inspiration for your upcoming crossbow season, as it were. And I also see some other names here. Lox Bog, you've been around a long time. I hope all the stuff's going on. If I'm not mistaken, you're working on some food plots here most of the time. When I check you out on Facebook and hear from you on Facebook, it's usually food plot related, it seems like, if I remember correctly. More folks from Missouri, watching from Northern Ontario. Wow, we got a Canadian in here. That's pretty cool. Upstate New York is represented from Lucas Hollenbach. Good to hear from you. Minnesota, Indiana, Wisconsin, Half Moon Bay, British Columbia. Wow, that is a lot of different people, a lot of different names. Lawrence Hoffman asks, what city are you moving to? City? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Why would I move to a city? Well, we're moving to town. Here's an interesting thing, a little tidbit about Death by Bungie. And I want to start by talking to you a little bit about my book. And you're going to hear an awful lot about this book. And I know some people are going to say, oh man, not the book again. Here we go. We got to hear about the book again. But in all honesty, my book is finally out. This is a proof. This is not the real book. This is not the official book. This is all I have at this time. This is identical to the finished product, but it is not yet the finished product. That hasn't been mailed to me yet. I haven't received it. It's probably up to the post office if I had to guess. But it just came out. It is only now available. It's brand new. And right there, kaboom, that is the cover of my new book. My first book. I shouldn't say my new book. It's my only book. The Death by Bungie Crossbow Story, Confessions of a Crossbow Hunter by Richard A. Wilson, Esquire. That's me, believe it or not. I'm just taking a drink of water here, so forgive me. But I used my formal name, the same name that would appear on legal documents that I file. How fancy is that? It's pretty high end, isn't it? You know it's a good book when it's got a fancy name like that on it. But anyway, it's a picture from a couple years ago with a vintage retro Death by Bungie logo on it. But it really was suitable for that book because the book is about my 10-year journey, my 10-year evolution or experience as a crossbow hunter, and the things that I've learned, the things that I've changed, the things I've thought at one time and changed my mind about. All of that is detailed in this book. It's really just the first chapter. It's 16 chapters or 17 chapters or something, really, but it's really the first part of Death by Bungie. It's the first 10 years, can you believe that, a decade of hunting with the same crossbow. Learned a lot during that time. Learned a lot about myself and about crossbow hunting, and the book is kind of a lot about that. If you read this book, you get a lot of information about crossbow hunting, but you'll also get a lot of information about me and about Death by Bungie as well. So it's a good story. That's what I like to do. I like to tell stories, right? That's what hunting stories are all about, and the book is full of hunting stories, but it's full of other good stuff too. Like I said, this is a proof of it. It's not the official copy. It's not what yours would look like if you were to purchase a copy. That is more aligned with what yours would look like. One of the things that's in that book, this is Confessions of a Crossbow Hunter, and it does talk about, in that book, us moving. It talks about why I would be moving. It talks about where I live now. And the 40 acres that you've come to know and love right along with me as part of Death by Bungie, that is actually the property where I grew up, no question about that. But there's a big question now about whether that will remain in the family. I'm not unique to this. I'm not immune from the same inter-family struggles that other people have, right? I know I talk to people all the time who have questions about where they're going to hunt in family property, and you have this sentimental attachment to it, but at the same time, is it really performing? Is it really giving you the opportunity that you want? Or are other people getting in the way of that opportunity? Not just the animals, but other human beings getting in the way with your enjoyment of that property. Things like that can happen. And I'm not saying that's what's going on here, but the book details that in way more detail than I could possibly give you in a 1-hour live stream or in a, over a video or something like that. So I'm not going to get into that in detail there. That's what the book's for. Read a book, you'll hear all about it. And I'm going to keep plugging the book, but I am so proud of it. It really turned out so good. I'm so happy with it. And I am planning a second book, and believe it or not, a third book. So it's going to be a regular part of Death by Bungie. Adam Fulmer says, I like the audiobook idea. So do I. It's going to take me a while to do that. Reading a book out loud, something I'm able to do it because I wrote it, so it's very easy for me to read it the way I think it should be read, right? In fact, I released a podcast today with a little snippet of the book in it, and that podcast is up on deathbybungie.com. Talking with Bungie is the name of my podcast. If you haven't checked that out, if you're into podcasts, you might get a kick out of that. But I still will be putting together something along the lines of that. It just might take a while to do it. Throughout this live stream, when I'm going away to pictures or something like that, I'm usually taking a drink of water because I got to keep my voice going. I talk all day long at work. I talk all day on the weekends for these videos and live streams and podcasts and all that stuff. And I love doing it. I have to do it because it's what I live for. I really enjoy this, right? And I worked very hard for years and years and years to get so that I can do it and I can function well to doing it, right? So the problem is that wears my voice out. So I really got to be careful. For that reason, I'll try not to drink in front of you the whole time either, but for that reason, I've got a microphone right up in front of me. And I have to keep the air conditioning on too because that light is on, and that computer is on. It's going to heat this room right up. So there will be a audiobook coming down the road. We got a copy from Bill Russell. Bill Russell says he's got a copy coming tomorrow. That's fantastic. I really hope you guys give me some feedback, good or bad. I want to know what you like or don't like about the book. And there's going to be a lot of provocative topics in it too. It's not just go do this and you'll enjoy crossbow hunting. That's not what the book is. There's a lot of topics in there as I've evolved in my thought process about various things. And it really helps me piece together, I think, some suitable stuff that people will get a kick out of. I think it will help you with crossbow hunting and stuff, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. Even if you know way more than me and way more than you'll ever need to know about crossbow hunting, if you are an old pro and you've been doing this for decades, right? Let's say you live in Ohio and you've been doing this since 1976. You'll still get something out of the book. I think it's still that kind of book that's going to be an enjoyable read. Mark Borcher is here. I just talked to you on Facebook. How cool is that? We were both waiting for some weather this weekend. We were waiting for the rain, but we got no rain. They lied to us, Mark, or at least they lied to me. I don't know about you, but we did not get the amount of rain that I thought we were going to get. Hopefully the next couple days, though, it's a little delayed, and we'll get some of that rain that we need for these food plots. Talk about that a little bit here in a second as well. Andres Loomers, very good to hear from you. He is joining us from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Can you believe that? He's over in Germany, if I remember correctly, and it is fantastic to have people from overseas taking part in Death by Bungie. I think that's the coolest thing. David Magnus, thank you very much for purchasing a copy of that book. I really appreciate it. And we got somebody, PA Outdoorsman, ordered a copy. That's fantastic. I really appreciate it. You guys are the best. I'm serious. It's because of the Friends of Bungie and my interactions with you guys that I went out and actually did this, that I went so far as to write a book. I wouldn't have bothered doing it if I didn't have an audience. So I'm hoping you get a kick out of that as well. Jason Patterson just had to... He has some weed whacking to do, but he has an important meeting first, so he's joined us for our live stream. Thank you very much, Jason. Great to have you here. That's awesome. Andres Loomers, no coffee. No, I'm sticking with the water. The coffee this late at night. I know where you are. You probably need some coffee in order to join us. Man, I appreciate it. This guy goes out of his way to join us, and it's practically the middle of the night there, at least by my standards, my old standards. It's like the middle of the night. No iced coffee right now. I'll save that for the morning, but I'm looking forward to it. That's for sure. If you can hardly hear me talking, we have somebody commenting about that. I will turn the microphone a little bit, hopefully get that a little bit louder, and it won't be a problem. The problem could be related. I'm watching my levels right there, so I've got that working, and hopefully that will not be a problem. But I've got the microphone as close to me as I can get without clipping and without. I've got the air conditioner on, but you don't want to see me with the air conditioner off. Not today. When will the cookbook be out? That's going to be part of future books, that's for sure. There is recipes and stuff, but I don't know if I'm an expert at cooking, that's for sure. We've done some pretty neat stuff, and I do intend to do more videos. One of the reasons, that actually is a good reason, a good thing to talk about too, with regard to the new house. One of the reasons we're looking for a new house is I do like the cooking, I do like that kind of stuff, and I do want to have more options with regard to the future and cooking. So let's look at the new house, shall we? This, and some of you on Facebook already have seen this, but that's a picture of what will be, and what now is actually, the Death by Bunjie trophy room. Now I know you're thinking trophy room. Rich isn't a trophy hunter or anything like that, and that remains the case. My thoughts on trophy hunting: I have always joked that I am a trophy hunter, but I'm just not very good at it. But I do hope over the next few years to take a good stab at filling this room up. Now that is just protected for painting. We went through, and here's what the finished product looks like. This is basically the great room or TV room, living room of our new house. And there's me coming home from work, watching the paint dry and all that good stuff. Got a good picture there of what it looks like with the house. I love that chandelier. It's got the tall peak ceiling, the beams going across there, and I am going to put all kinds of cool things on this picture. Okay, we're going to put all kinds of cool things in this trophy room, hopefully that you will get a kick out of. I really hope that that is something that helps me make really good videos. Now I don't have pictures of the kitchen on here, but to get back to the cooking part, this place has a kitchen that's suitable for filming. So I can actually do, I've filmed in this kitchen as well, but our house currently, the one we live in, we've lived in this house since like 2003 or 2004. And because it's an older house, this house is over 100 years old. It's a great house. We've really appreciate it. It's been a great place to raise Genevieve, and great school district, we, you know, the whole bit. And I had my law practice here in this town for years and years and years. So it was a great place for us to live. It's time to move on though. This place, more space for us to do what we want to do, what I want to do. It's closer to work. It's in the same town where I work, so I won't be traveling back and forth on a busy highway or anything like that every day, the way I have through all kinds of weather that we get in northeastern Pennsylvania, so that's important. But that kitchen is really going to look good. It's really going to make it so I can make more videos and hopefully do more regular videos for you as far as like cooking and all that fun stuff is concerned. So that is what we are working on. That is one of the reasons that I am doing that. We got Michael Berner from Vermont. Hello to you. Mark says he did get a little bit of rain 30 minutes ago. That is awesome. Other people here are commenting on how much rain they need, that kind of stuff. But I don't doubt that. That's just one of those things. Tim West, look forward to. I really hope you. I look forward to your feedback on the book as well. I really do. So let's also, now we've talked about the house a little bit. Oh, you'll have to excuse me. I've talked about the house a little bit. What I'm going to do now is, let me just double check this microphone. And that microphone does appear to be on as loud as I'm going to be able to get it on here, but I'm going to hold it as close to my mouth as possible. I'm going to talk right in the end of it, so we're not going to have a problem with that. In fact, I'll play a little bit with the microphones. You know, I don't dare go play with these microphones, because if I do, I know what's going to happen. We're going to regret me doing that. I'm sure if I start tinkering around with stuff, we're going to regret it. We won't have anything if we're not careful. All right, so what I want to do, though, I do want to show you some other pictures that I've got set up here. These pictures are not in any particular order, but this is pictures of this from this new house. And some of you, forgive me if you've seen these already on the Facebook or something like that, but Genevieve has been out with her new crossbow. There's a video coming with a full detailed explanation of that and a full story behind it. And even the name of this new crossbow is revealed in an upcoming episode of Death by Bunjie here on Crossbow Appreciation Month. Now we got some other pictures here too. With this new place, I'm going to have a lot more room to store my gear that I have. Those are some main hunter arrows from Russia. Can you believe that? That I've been given, a gift that I received. I'm going to do some videos involving those down the road here. This is a Spinal Tap, a special heavy front of center weighted arrow, 500 plus grains, ready to be run through a wild boar at our meet and greet, courtesy of Marshall. Thank you very much. Genevieve and I refer to those as Marshall's arrows, the ones that he was generous enough to send to us. These are some Pro Flight arrows Genevieve and I are using in the backyard, sinking them into the old block target. Forgive the fact that the pictures are upside down, all that good stuff. But look how happy this kid is. We're out there having fun, shooting crossbows in the backyard. Now, this place, even though we're kind of moving into town, this place does have a nice big backyard. The house that we bought is over an acre. The backyard is huge. Lots of room to go out there and shoot the crossbows. I can shoot out to 60 yards in this backyard. It is downhill. The only thing down below that is a cornfield and a railroad tracks. So as long as I don't hear the train coming, we are fine to sit out there in the backyard and shoot. 60 yards down that hill, we can go out to, very easily go out to 60 yards. And you know me, 60 yards is far enough. But it's plenty of room for me to make videos and experiment a little bit with things like these new arrows, the various arrows you've seen in these pictures so far. It'll be really neat, I think, to have an opportunity to go out there and play around with that stuff. And when I do my live streams, I can do them, might have a couple of camera angles so that we're not struggling with a low light like this. Here I've got a couple of lights up to sort of light me up so that this poor camera can see me. But because we're moving, all of that studio foam is gone, so it makes this room look a little bit weaker. It's kind of a mess, this room is. But I figured it looked nice. The best it's going to do is to have the books in the background and all that good stuff. You can see right here my collection of Planet of the Apes movies. All the Planet of the Apes movies in one little spot. So, what else was I going to tell you about here? I want to go back and make sure that we're not missing any of these comments, because you guys that with all the comments and stuff, boy, I really do appreciate that. I appreciate you taking our time to join me here. We've got a super chat from Frank Bruner. Frank, oh, it's good to hear from you, and thank you very much for the super chat. I've said that before, you guys. I have been getting gifts like you would not believe. Wait till you see Crossbow Appreciation Month videos coming up here. It's full of things that people have sent me. Unsolicited. I didn't ask for this stuff, but boy, do I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that you folks really appreciate Death by Bungie enough that you'd send me stuff. And some of these gifts, I mean, I appreciate everything. It's the thought that counts, and I truly mean that. I get a personal note with somebody, along with some things to try. And this new house will give me the space to try that kind of stuff out. Here, when somebody sends me a broadhead to try out, it's kind of hard for me to go in the backyard and use it, because I got to make sure the neighbors aren't mowing lawn. I got to make sure that the neighbors aren't going to be out there with their dogs or something like that, or going in and out of our shared driveway. The new house provides a lot of opportunities where we don't have those kinds of problems. We got people are seeing or really getting at it. It's like the room is going to be just awesome. Dennis Glock, thank you very much. I hope that turns out to be the case. James Martin, now that's a lawyer's house. There you go. I sure hope that it works out okay. And we'll see. It's looks like it's going to be a nice place. There you are, found you nice. Yep. Chuck Smith, thank you very much. I do think it's going to be a nice house. Tankless water heaters. We will look at that kind of stuff. There you go. I appreciate feedback like that. What about getting Duncan on the way to work? Old grumpy hunter. Well, I thought about that. Do you really think that I would purchase a house that didn't have a Dunkin' Donuts between the house and work? There's one in that town also, so I can still stop and get my Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee on the way through, so we aren't going to have that problem. But that's a good thought. You got to think about that kind of stuff. Is it the same property? What about the 100-year-old apple tree? Well, Andres Loomers asks a very good question. Now, my book, and I don't mean to keep beating the old dead horse about the book, but the book does talk about the property and where the 100-year-old apple tree is. It talks about it in much greater detail than I can do in terms of a video or anything like that. It gives you some really good history and background. It has pictures of me and my family, my sisters, along with the buck that I shot, that I named the buck field after, for example. It's got all kinds of pictures and stuff like that too. And pictures of my dad. It's got pictures of my dad working on the property. I showed these in a previous live stream, I believe, anyway. But those kinds of things are all part of the book, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. The 100-year-old apple tree was part of that. Now, those of you following the Facebook channel, and if you watched the video where I killed a deer under the 100-year-old apple tree last year, I shot a really nice doe, one of the biggest does I've ever shot last year under that apple tree. So, Andres Loomers, go check that out if you haven't seen it. I mean, you probably have seen it. But if you watch that video, you will recall that last year that tree struggled. And almost no, it had blossoms and everything. The leaves came out nice, but then all the leaves kind of died going forward. And I don't mean they just fell off or they just turned brown and crinkly and dried out. It wasn't as though they just died under their normal end of season way of doing things. They just sort of died. And the tree, I figured that tree was dead. By the time the hunting season rolled around, there's almost no leaves left on that tree. And just at the very top did it have leaves. But it held its apples and it dropped them and I was able to hunt under it. So it was a gift. It really was. It was a miracle. But even more of a miracle, this year I go down to that tree. Genevieve and I went down the woods, and I'm going to try and share some pictures with you. Boom, boom. Look at these pictures. Look at these pictures. I go down to the 100-year-old apple tree, and lo and behold, there's an apple or two on the ground under it, and it still has its leaves. Can you believe that? This is a really big deal. This tree seems to have fought off whatever problem it had. This year it looks healthy, plenty of new growth, plenty of new leaves. Look at it. Now that stuff at the bottom where it's dead, those branches were dead last year, the year before that. Those branches have been dead for a while. But if you look at how healthy that tree looks overall, that's encouraging. It still is fighting off something. It still doesn't look perfect. Now all of the leaves are beautifully green and everything else, but wow, it actually looks like there might be another season under it. And here's the really weird thing. That's an apple, and yes, I tasted the apple. I actually ate it and ate around the bad spots. But those of you who follow Death by Bunjie, you know that apple tree is precious to me. You don't leave those apples there. I leave them there for the deer. But the chance to taste one of those apples might be the last time ever that happens, right? So I take advantage of those opportunities, even as crazy as that sounds. I'm sitting down there eating crab apples, one crab apple. So I ate that up. But the fact that that's dropping apples this year means that I might have an opportunity to hunt under that apple tree this year with my daughter, who is shooting her crossbow in the backyard. Can you be more excited about something than that? Is there anything that I could tell you on Death by Bunjie that is more interesting than that? I don't think there is. To me, that's fantastic. So there's your update on the 100-year-old apple tree. Andres Loomis, thank you very much for telling me about that. James Skaggs, good rain in Missouri, great for food plots. I hear you. I'm hoping that we get some really nice rain too. Gary Hutchison, let's hear about that new crossbow. The new crossbow, I will tell you. And then when will there be a Bunjie 2? Stephen Frizzell. These are good questions. These are really good questions. Partially answered this week in Crossbow Appreciation Month. The new crossbow is a micro suppressor 355, a very interesting story, right in the midst of the pandemic practically. This crossbow is given to us. It's like it falls out of the air, almost. You'll hear the whole story in the video. The video, I think, will come out like Tuesday. It's all edited. I just got to play around with it, make sure it's cleaned up nice and presentable and ready to go and perfect, because it's an important video. It is an important video not just to me, but also to my daughter, right? Because she's a big part of that story. So it's pretty interesting, and I'm excited to share that with you. It's a micro suppressor 355. And then to sort of piggyback on that question, will there be a Bunjie 2? Stephen Frizzell's asking. You know, when I picked up that crossbow and started shooting it, I'm like, wow. Why have I been sitting around for 10 years not getting a new crossbow? It's 50-50, right? On one hand, this new crossbow is a gorgeous, incredible piece of equipment. I can't tell you how fantastic this is and how excited I am to share the specs with you and what we've been able to do. On the other hand, shooting Bunjie, there's a lot of safety mechanisms on the new crossbow, some of which I should have. Old Grumpy Hunter will remind us that there's an anti-dry fire on the micro suppressor 355, and I really would probably benefit from having an anti-dry fire installed on Bunjie, wouldn't I? But there's that micro suppressor 355 has that anti-dry fire, which sort of gets in the way of cocking it and uncocking it. At least it's not exactly the same as what I've done with Bunjie for 10 years. The micro suppressor 355, I can cock that with a rope, but I really can't do much other than that, and I'm not going to do it all morning, that's for sure. Like, I could cock it in a pinch, but I'm not going to go around cocking that crossbow. We went through 2 different cranks. We've got an upgraded crank. I'll do some videos about that next week as well, here in the next week or so. And those videos, you're going to see, you put the crank on it, Genevieve can sit there and crank this crossbow up, and she is phenomenal with it. Like, she's really taken to this thing, and she can cock it herself, put it, you know, puts it on safe. She's got a good routine with it, which is what I like, right? I like a good routine. You know, you've seen me cock that crossbow, take the rope off, put it in my left pocket so I know right where it is, put it, make sure it's on safety, and then you load the arrow and all that stuff. When I get out of that routine, bad things like the dry fire last year happen. Staying in that routine, you don't have that problem. Genevieve has adopted a very nice routine, designed a very nice routine for her to cock that crossbow with the Charger EXT crank system. I really like it, and I'm jealous of that crossbow in a lot of ways. But I really, really appreciate the simplicity of Bunjie. But this is a topic, right? This is a topic. This is not something that I can tell you right now, that's just how it is, but it is something I can tell you I've thought about, and that is what's going to be the subject of upcoming videos, for sure. Maybe for like the rest of the season we'll be talking about this stuff. And if Genevieve hunts with me, she has plans. I'm going to drop a big bombshell here. She has plans to hunt at the 2nd ever Death by Bunjie meet and greet that's coming up next week, in a week or so, 2 weeks from now. Actually, about 2 weeks from now, yeah. Just under 2 weeks. It's just under 2 weeks. So next week we'll start preparing for that, and we're going to take her out into the woods, and she is going to attempt to kill her first wild animal with that crossbow. How cool is that? This is going to be phenomenal. I'm so excited about this because my daughter, who's always kind of been interested in Death by Bunjie, very supportive of it, but not really a hunter. This crossbow's really changed that. That's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting. So you're going to hear a lot more about that crossbow. Don't worry about that. James Skag. Rich, we had a lot of those apples, but no fruit. Can they bear fruit again? If you prune them, you might be able to inspire an old apple tree to start producing fruit. Are they crab apples, Murder Incorporated hunting? Good to hear from you, Murder Incorporated. We're getting up into the crossbow season again, aren't we? He is someone who I followed here on YouTube. He's followed me. It's been fantastic. We've had a lot of great comments back and forth. Yes, those are crab apples. There's not I don't think they're a specific variety that has that you wouldn't go buy one of these. This is just the old traditional crab apple. It's the only remaining one from a little orchard that was planted in that spot like 100 years ago. So that's one of the reasons I call it the 100-year-old apple tree. I don't know if it's 100 years old, but it's, is what it is. Lever action, good to hear about your apple tree. Yes, thank you. Jam some fertilizer spikes around it maybe. That's not a bad idea. If it needed better soil, what are you going to do? Maybe the fertilizer spikes would be a good idea, that's for sure. Chuck Smith, plant another tree. I have planted nearly 30 apple trees, as a matter of fact. That is, you're like a man of my own kind of thinking, that's for sure. Triple 10 fertilizer or 1010 fertilizer from Destry Newsom. That's not a bad idea either, putting some fertilizer on it. And that would probably be, a light fertilizer like that would probably be the fertilizer that I would spread around that tree if that were to be the case, yeah. Mark Borcher, when you have apples, you hunt the apples. Amen to that. That is a Death by Bunjie mantra right there. When you have apples, you hunt the apples. That's, deer love apples. That's just a fact, man. And that is, in a place especially like Pennsylvania where we can't bait, having apple trees, that's what it's all about. If you've got access to apples, you hunt the apples. On that note, Mark, and I wanted to show you too, because we've talked a little bit here, we're both waiting on the rain. Waiting on the rain is what we're doing. And I wanted to talk a little bit here. We'll go through and I'll show you what Genevieve and I did this weekend for those of you who might be interested. And you're all interested because it's food plots. It's food plottery. Who isn't interested in food plottery? Even if you don't do food plots. Last year we didn't do any food plots, but I still love looking at food plots. Food plots feed wildlife, and wildlife includes deer, and so that's pretty cool. Speaking of wildlife, there's me with a weed eater. That is something you don't see an awful lot of. Boy, I don't like weed eaters. But we had sprayed this down with glyphosate there about 2 weeks ago, and the burn down, boy, I got the mixture right because that burn down worked perfect. The upper end of this little food plot, I didn't do the bottom end because the bottom end sort of slopes off, and in my experience, deer don't like eating on a side hill. I don't know why that is, but they never ate anything off the bottom of this plot. And when I would observe deer in this food plot, they were always from the middle up. So I'm just doing the top end of it. That's a mixture of oats and ryegrass and other things that you can pretty much grow in a parking lot. That stuff, for the most part, will grow just about anywhere. I think it is a great overall pick for food plot seeds, in my opinion. This is no sweat, no till mix from Antler King. What we did is we went through with a weed eater, we ground that right down to nothing, chewed it all up good, and then Genevieve and I raked it off. I'm going to do a video about that. There will be a video up on the YouTube channel this week for Crossbow Appreciation Month where you'll get a chance to see me in action, see Genevieve in action mostly. You know, that's just how it is. That's what if she were here, that's what she would tell you. It was pretty much Genevieve in action is what it was, but it is what it is. But that's the finished product. We took some of the leaf duff, some of the grass that we had ground up and raked off. We took that with a pitchfork and spread it back around to protect it. Now, what I also did, and I feel like my back is killing me because I actually took a backpack sprayer with 4 gallons of water, one of the backpack sprayers, clean water, just water. And I put that on top of this plot. I went around and emptied it on top of that plot, sprayed it. It took me, and it wore my neck right out, wore my shoulders right out, carrying that thing. But I went around and I just wet it all down. It's not going to water it. It's not going to provide enough moisture to really do anything other than maybe inspire those seeds to germinate. The ground actually wasn't too bad. This is an in the woods area. This location's covered with a lot of shade. It's partial shade. That no-till mix, if we go and look at that no-till mix is intended for low shade areas like this, places that don't get a lot of sunlight. And because of that, this stuff, like I joked that it will grow in a parking lot, but I actually succeeded years ago in planting this stuff in this exact location. It grew very nicely, and I actually grew some of those seeds on the stumps that you see in these pictures. They actually germinated and grew edible forage out of those stumps. Can you believe that? But that no sweat, no till plot mix is actually from Antler King, and it is intended to be good. Now here's one last thing on that. You see that buck on there? This was a little disappointing. Genevieve pointed out to me that the buck on that picture was photoshopped in there. I guess I'm not too surprised by that. Actually, but the fact that the buck was on there was photoshopped. You know, I don't know. Isn't that false advertising? Maybe not. We'll see. I've had good luck with that before. I have used that food plot seed before. I've actually grown stuff. My first, I think I killed stuff over. Yeah, I did kill stuff over that. Actually, the first buck I ever killed over a food plot was on that seed. Wow, I forgot about that. Up on the doe field, the first buck that I ever killed, shot him at 8 yards on that food plot seed. Wow, that's pretty cool. I think it was that. I could be wrong. I think it was that one though. I really do. Those no-till ones, there's a couple of no-till ones I've used over the years. I could look back. I probably have pictures of that. But I'm pretty sure that was actually the stuff. So how cool is that? I talk about that buck, by the way, in the book. So there's a neat little story in there. And there's information in there. There's stuff in there that you don't get in the videos. It's a book you can put so much more detail in. And it's Confessions of a Crossbow Hunter. It reveals things that I wouldn't put on a video, or that to date I have not included in a video. It is what it is. So let's do a trivia question. Let's do a trivia question, and the winner of the trivia question will get a Death by Bungie 10 Seasons with Bungie window decal. How about that? I'll send it out, and maybe some other cool stuff too. I like doing these. I really enjoy doing the trivia questions because I like to see how many people come up with this stuff. And I picked up 2 interesting questions. So we'll do some questions, go back through some more comments, then we'll come back and do another trivia question, and then we'll go back to the comments, and then we'll say goodnight. How's that? Now that's a good first live stream for Crossbow Appreciation Month, I think. So our first trivia question, I'm going to bring it up on the screen. Be ready with your keyboard, be ready with your fingers on your phone, whatever you're going to do. The answer for this trivia question, this is a pretty easy one, I think. But the answer for this trivia question is going to be a number or a letter. So I think it basically just has to be one answer. Now, don't get upset if you type before someone else and I don't pick your answer, because it's possible that I'm just going to go to the bottom of the comments, okay? I'm just going to the bottom of the comments. And I'm going to go right to the bottom of the comments and see what happens. That's what we're going to do. The first answer that I get, kaboom, that's the one we're going to pick. The first correct answer is the winner. So don't be upset if I can't be responsible for how fast my internet access is, let alone everybody else's. So if your answer doesn't get here first, I'm just going to go with the first one that pops up on my screen. So it's not a big deal. People were upset last time. I'll personally was upset. So 7. We've already got somebody answering 7. So no, you are not correct. You don't get that answer doesn't count. Are you ready? Before somebody else types in another answer, here is the trivia question. How many videos are there in your typical Crossbow Appreciation Month? How many videos are in a typical Crossbow Appreciation Month? You know, not necessarily, you can't predict how many there are, but I can tell you right now, 7 is not the correct answer. 31, Mark Borchert picks 31, look at that. Andreas Loomers picks 31. And we got a whole bunch of, holy cow, we got all kinds of people pounding out those answers. We've got all kinds of great answers. Bobby Anderson, 37. That's the 37 days of 37 days of awesome, right? But wow. Now, some of you may have had accurate answers, but it goes to Mark Borchert, and that is amazing. 31, he was the first one that came up on my screen, so that is what it is. But there are 31 days, and your typical Crossbow Appreciation Month. Crossbow Appreciation Month is just something I came up with, and the podcast that I just released today, I hope you guys take a chance to listen to that. That was pretty cool. It turned out pretty nice, and I just finished editing it, got it uploaded, then I played around with this and figured out how to get this thing online. I haven't done a live stream in a while, and YouTube's changed a few things between now and last time that we did this, and all of a sudden I got to relearn it all. It's like at the last minute, I've got the microphone and the camera all set up, and at the last minute, I'm like, oh wait, do I know how to do this again? So I had to go back and look at it. But there are 31 days in August. I try to do a video a day for 31 days to share crossbow hunting with you and give you little tips and inspiration along the way. That's the purpose of Crossbow Appreciation Month. So there are 31 videos in 31 days. That's pretty cool. So Mark Borchert, I will send this to you, and we've been in touch, and I know how to get a hold of you. So not a problem. I really do appreciate you taking part in these live streams, and I hope that you're getting something out of them. All of you, I really do. Let's zip back up here before our flood of 31 answers, and we will see what we got going on here. People talking about their crossbows, and that's what I love about these live streams, an opportunity for us to all get together. Would you trust putting crossbow rage replacement collars onto a standard rage broadhead? Jason Patterson. That's a good question. Probably I would test it, and if it worked, I would do it. That'd be my answer. I think what you're asking is taking the collar, the red ring off of one broadhead and put it on another broadhead of a different model. If they appear to fit and everything else, and you test it, it doesn't open prematurely on your crossbow, and if it does open on a very thin sheet of plywood or a heavy piece of cardboard, something like that, something to mimic a deer or animal hide, then you could probably get away with it. On the other hand, I don't reuse a lot of stuff when it comes to broadheads. I buy a new broadhead and use a new broadhead. That's just how it is. But I stick with the same ones. If I were to switch models or brands even, then I would certainly be testing them a lot more. But I'm happy with these, and I did a little testing back before I chose these, and the ones that I'm using now I'm pretty happy with. So that's my best answer I can give you. Yep. Crossbow speed to be lethal for whitetail, Hoosier Bassin. The crossbow speed to be lethal for whitetail. That's an answer I go back and forth on. Speed, if you're purely talking about speed, people kill whitetail deer with traditional bows, recurve bows, long bows that shoot 140 feet per second, right? So the proper gear can get it done. That speed is not necessarily the right question, but unfortunately it's what crossbow manufacturers give you as the sort of thermometer, right? The measuring stick. That's what we get. Really what you want to look at, I would play around with some of the online arrow calculators, and you want to look at kinetic energy, but you also want to look at momentum. And momentum is just one of those things that without enough momentum you're not going to get the pass-through that you need. Any modern crossbow probably possesses the ability to produce enough energy and momentum with a proper arrow, proper broadhead, to get the job done on a whitetail. If you're over 200 feet per second, 240 feet per second, you're probably in a situation where you can get it done. Remember Bunjie, 305 feet per second on a good day, on its best day. I have, through a chronograph, reached the apex of 305 feet per second exactly one time with Bunjie, and every other time it's been 300 to 305 at its best. And now with the heavier arrows that I'm using, and I will share that information, you saw some pictures there in this live stream, but if I go down to those, I'm slowing it down into the 270s most likely, but I'm confident that I'm going to be killing animals this fall with that setup. So I'm really looking forward to bring that to you. There's my long-winded answer. And the real answer to that question is you'll never get an answer to that question. So it depends on a number of factors. But start looking at arrow calculators. If you already have that crossbow, play around with the arrow calculators, momentum and kinetic energy calculators online. Play around with those, see what kind of numbers you're getting. And then some of them, the one I like from Realtree, will tell me if it's good for a skinny little whitetail or an elk, or then moose. You want one that has a picture of a moose on it. That's where you know you're really at the top, right? Oh, people are telling me the anti-dry fire is quick and easy to install. What are you suggesting? You think I need an anti-dry fire? Wow, I don't know. I don't know if I need something like that. That sounds newfangled and I don't know. Hoosier Bassin, speed doesn't kill, accuracy does. That comes from Jennifer Robinson. Wow, that is sage advice. That is something I didn't mention in my long-winded response. But if you're not accurate, it doesn't matter. Accuracy is number one with crossbows. That is a phrase that if you read this book, you will learn how I came up with that little mantra, that little theme, right? That slogan. The accuracy is number one with crossbows. To me, and it's in the book, it's a neat little story. But boy, that was a hard lesson to learn too. Accuracy. If you're not accurate, you got to put it where it's arrow placement. That's what it's all about. And there are things you can do to make your crossbow more accurate, and that is the subject of many videos coming forward on Death by Bunjie. This new place. When I talk about moving, a big reason for me moving is being closer to work, not having to drive during bad weather and all that. But another big reason is Death by Bunjie. Believe it or not, I put so much into this over the last 10 years into crossbow hunting. And this will be our 7th season on YouTube. Put a lot of time into this. And I want that to be an even bigger part of my life. I want to have more time to do that. I want to have a better facility, so to speak, to put these videos together, because I'm really enjoying this so much. I'm really enjoying these live streams so much, and I want to be able to do them and give you a better product. Down the road, the live streams might involve cooking live. They might involve more of the crossbow shooting. In fact, I'm throwing out this idea. I want you guys to give me feedback either here or on the website, deathbybungie.com, or on Facebook, as you see fit. But would you be willing, interested in getting together by Zoom one Saturday morning and shooting crossbows on Zoom? How cool would that be? We could all get together and take a shot. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You can just watch it if you wanted to. And then maybe I could upload it as a YouTube video. I thought that'd be pretty cool. I thought that would be pretty neat. A lot of broadhead talk. I encourage broadhead talk. It's very controversial, but I enjoy it. I've always had a good time with the broadheads, and who doesn't like a good broadhead picture, right? So, Bungie shot a small deer with a rage. It almost cut it in half. I think Old Grumpy Hunter, if I remember right, was the one that, when I shot that Sika deer, that thing weighed like 50 pounds. They're such small animals, but they're just such special, precious animals. And Bungie and I actually had an opportunity to go hunt one of those last year and actually got the job done. And I have a text from my taxidermist in Maryland telling me that that mount is done. How exciting is that? It will not be long before I have that precious little deer in my hands, where I can once again display him in our new trophy room, show him off, and show the world that accomplishment. That's what the trophy room is all about. This is not a trophy Sika deer, right? This isn't a 3x3, you know, that's an 8-year-old or 10-year-old Sika stag, but it is a stag. He does have horns, albeit very short ones, but he is going to look good on the wall. And I can tell you right now, I'm probably the only person in my home county who has such a mount. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know anybody else who's gone down to Maryland, to the Eastern Shore, sat in the swamps, fought off the mosquitoes, sat in waders in a tree stand, and killed a Sika deer with a crossbow. None of them, nobody else on the planet has done that with Bungie. That's pretty cool. So to me, that's kind of a book, or that's kind of a big deal. I think that's pretty cool. And it's in the book too, right? It's in my book. All right, now we're down to the questions about that stuff. Did I miss the question here? I think somebody had a really good question. Oh, the slash. Oh, that was the joke though about the cutting a deer in half with the rage broadhead. I thought that was pretty cool. So, man, a lot of you guys got the 31 correct, and I really appreciate the fact that you're following this close enough. Another super chat, Lever Action. Thank you so much. It's a long time since I've been able to buy you a coffee. Amen to that. It has been a long time since I've been on these live streams. This will be a much more regular thing in the future with that new property, with that new home. The ability to do that, leave stuff set up, because this is our TV room that I'm in now, so I have to break all this down when I'm done. There, I'll have a dedicated part of this new studio where I can sit and talk to you and do these live streams. Maybe we'll schedule some and do them on a regular basis. Maybe I'll do them on a more random basis. I don't know, but we're going to play it by ear and have a good time with all this stuff. I think that will be pretty cool. Got more people weighing in on the broadhead talk, and I really do appreciate that. I think that's good, because I cannot do all of the answers myself, of course, and sometimes I don't even get the answers right, so what are you going to do? Mark Borchard brings up a very good point. The 100-year-old apple tree replacement is still developing in his northeastern Pennsylvania nursery. It will need one more year before it reaches the new Kingdom of Bunjie location next fall in 2021. How great is that? We are learning live on a live stream the future of the 100-year-old apple tree. Mark, I was kind enough to take some of the cuttings. I took some cuttings off the top of that tree, mailed them to him, and he was kind enough to try to get them to grow in rootstock. So these will be a healthier but identical version of the 100-year-old apple tree. Healthier in a sense that they have a tested rootstock, but on the other hand, they don't have the 100-year-old apple tree rootstock, which apparently, who knew? I guess I was wrong. It actually is a pretty healthy rootstock, right? But the more disease-tolerant, disease-resistant rootstocks are something that we can use in this day and age to do those, and that's what he's doing. So that's pretty cool. And I look forward to doing videos on that. Mark and I have gone back and forth. I think he was here back when we were like 100 subscribers or something like that. And so he goes way, way back. But I've had more conversations probably with him than any other friend of Bungie, and I really appreciate that. I think that's phenomenal. So he and I, we go way back, but I've still never met him in person. One of these days, that's going to have to change. We're actually living in the same state, and then of course this year, that's not really going to happen with the pandemic. That is not going to happen with the pandemic. Changes our plans, doesn't it? In fact, that is the subject of our next trivia question. So we're getting close to the finish of this thing. Let's do another trivia question. This one is going to require you to type a word. So, and I'm not going to hold you to spelling. If it's misspelled, that's okay. If you get in the ballpark, the first one who's in the ballpark that I can see on there and kind of make sense of, and it rings true to me that it's the right word, that person wins a vintage now, Death by Bungie window sticker. This is the vintage one. This is just a plain old logo, the standard, the original logo. I think that's pretty cool. There's still a pretty cool little logo. In fact, that's the one that I have on my crossbow chair. So we'll send one of those out along with some other goodies. Who knows? I like doing this stuff. I think this is fun. If you guys like let me know if you like the trivia stuff, because I do like it. And if you have a better suggestion as to how to do it, then so be it. But this is the best I can think of. So we'll see what we can do here. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to bring up that second trivia thing, and then we're going to see who types it in. I'll go back to the comments. Same deal. And then we'll come back and finish up the comments and say good night. How's that? That's a good plan, I think. So here it is. And I will read it to you, and we're going to do it in 3, 2, 1. Other than our usual Pennsylvania and Maryland, where did Bungie and I plan on hunting this year? There was a place where we planned on going hunting, but we were unable to go there. Can you believe it? It actually did not work out. Now, this is a tough one. This is not one where I expect you're going to have the answer. Adam, wow, already. Wow. First answer. Actually, you know what? Mars. Great, Azru. We have 2 winners here, and I actually did not phrase a very good question. I didn't do a very good job here. I have 2 winners, and I will happily and proudly send you 2 of these. But we have 2 winners there. Technically, there's 2 winners. Adam was the one that I was thinking of. Canada was where I tried to set up a hunt to go to Canada, and boom, it is not going to work. Because of the coronavirus, I can't get into Canada. They shut me down, shut me out of the place. And I did a podcast about that, and I think I posted maybe something on Facebook or something, and it'll be mentioned in Crossbow Appreciation Month, but I'm not sure that if you're a friend of Bungie who only follows the YouTube channel, I'm not sure you would have gotten that one, because technically that one is not, that didn't work. That podcast, however, that was my original plan. I had actually planned on going to Canada to hunt black bears. That is a dream of mine, to go to Ontario and hunt black bears. It's gonna happen. It's gonna, I promise you. I'm very excited about that. I mean, that's something that I planned for a long time, and this year those plans got set aside. I couldn't do it. But as a backup plan, I started thinking, well, if I can't go across the border into Canada, I can at least go to Maine. And Old Grumpy Hunter got that one correct. He actually put that on here, that you plan on going to Maine, and I did. That's right. But unfortunately, I got shut out of Maine, most likely as well. So that is the correct answer. There are actually 2 correct answers. They're both 100% correct. And for that reason, we will happily be sending some videos to both of you. So I got Adam. Make sure, Adam, that you got, I want you to contact me either on Facebook or here on YouTube. You can do that. Make sure you give me your mailing address, and I will send that to you. Mark Borchert, Old Grumpy Hunter, I think I got, send me your current mailing address. I'm sure I got it, but it wouldn't hurt to send it again. We talk on Facebook all the time, so you can send me that. We'll make sure that we're on the same spot here. Not Mars. I would someday, maybe someday we'll go to Mars, right? That'd be the subject of a Death by Bungie. That'll be like my 4th book. That'd be pretty cool. But New York, someday I'll probably hunt New York, but during that 2-week period that they give you every year to go hunt the crossbow up there. But we'll see if we can make that happen. Alaska, Rich Southers, was not on the agenda for this year, but it is down the road, as is Ohio. Virginia, yes. Definitely Maryland. Like I said in Moose Junction Hunter, I said in the question though, Maryland. We'll see what happens with Maryland. We'll see what happens with Maryland this year. We just have to wait and see. Arizona. That's a good question because I've been to Arizona, but have not been back for that. Adam Fulmer. I think what you meant was public land, and that there's more to that story coming this year as well. Texas, 100%. Texas is gonna happen. I will be hunting in Texas, hopefully sooner rather than later. I really want to do that. Colorado as well. When my black bear hunt fell through, I actually was looking at maybe doing some pronghorn antelope hunts or something like that. Something different, you know, something. So we'll see. Iowa, Canada. These are all good. A lot of you guys had the right guesses and stuff. Some great guesses here. So that's pretty cool. Ontario black bear. Philip Langboy, you're a smart man. That's right what I was looking to do. That's just down the road. And the public land hunts, that is something I'll be discussing down the road too. I talked about that a little bit on the podcast that I put out today, but I will be giving you more details of that down the road. So we shall see. We shall see. Is Bunjie strong enough to kill a black bear? Jamie Cirasoli? I'm going to go with that. Is Bunjie strong enough to kill a black bear? I think so. Yeah, I think so. With the proper arrow selection, maybe the proper broadhead selection might be an issue as well. Might be able to. I think we can definitely get that done if you take the proper steps ahead of time. If not, I have a backup crossbow that you'll be hearing about during Crossbow Appreciation Month as well, and it's possible that will be the backup. What was I going to be hunting in Maine? Murder Incorporated hunting. That was going to be my backup, but I couldn't do Ontario black bear. I thought, well, they got bears in Maine. I'll go see if I can shoot a bear in Maine. So someday that will happen. That will happen someday. I can join Bill O'Hara anytime to hunt bears there. That's great to hear. Brad Keys, Texas, 100% going to be there someday. That's for sure. There is more coming on this bear hunt, by the way. Lever action. Bunjie can take a moose, no problem at all. Well, it does have a picture of a moose on the Realtree arrow calculator, the momentum calculator. So how can you go wrong? I think with a proper arrow selection, I really do believe that. I think that can get done. I think that can get done. Right now, my numbers are good enough what I'm doing, and you'll hear more about this, that I feel pretty confident. We're back to what Jennifer Robinson had said about accuracy. A moose is a big target. The lungs on a moose, that's like a 55-gallon garbage can or something. Maybe not that big, but still, that's like a big target. So that can get done. You know what I mean? I think with the proper shot, proper arrow, proper shot, tuned in just right, taking the proper shot, it's all about that. Kaboom. I think you get it done. I think you get it done. We all going to live through this, and hunting is going to be fun again. Tiberius Murray, I think I know what you're talking about. You're probably talking about that coronavirus, and amen to that. I think by the time this rolls around in the fall, I hope that we just have a nice, safe, healthy hunting season, and that it just becomes fun again. Life is tedious this year. It's just excruciating. I mean, I can take a month or maybe 2 months of staying at home and all the stuff we went through, but holy cow, it just is really sucking the life out of you. But we'll see what happens. Spring black bear in northern Idaho is an amazing experience, Frank Bruner. That's going to happen too. I've been listening to a ton of black bear hunting podcasts. There are 2 that are really good. Robert Bashaw suggested them to me from the Crossbow hunting podcast. When I talked to him, I've talked to him back and forth, and he was suggesting a couple of really good black bear podcasts to me, and I've been listening to those bear hunting podcasts, and boy, I'm pumped. But when they talk about Idaho, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Alan Towell is shooting the old boars down there with the family. That's great. That is fantastic. The bears in Missouri. That was actually a discussion in one of the podcasts. Was black bears in Missouri. That you're getting more huntable populations. Elephant in the Room is the Facebook page. Going to start again, Adam. I don't know if that's an elephant in the room. It's just one of those things. Like when I say, like, life had been tedious this year, it takes its toll on people. And people with the Facebook group page, the Facebook page itself still gets action. I am still posting stuff on there. And I saw some comments here, people suggesting, hey, would you like to, I wish I could share these pictures or those pictures. The Facebook group page became kind of contentious. And I had wonderful moderators, people who I really appreciate as friends of Bungie. I had 1,000 people. We had 1,000 people participating on that group page. Wonderful people, friends of Bungie, all of them. But in part because of the craziness in the world right now, people take stuff the wrong way, or they say stuff that they didn't come out the right way, or whatever, and it becomes a lot of distraction from crossbow hunting, which is the whole reason we're doing all this stuff. If you want to share something with Friends of Bungie for right now, send me that stuff on Facebook and I will share it as a Facebook post on the Facebook page. I will do that. Down the road, I have not abandoned the idea of having some way for Friends of Bungie to communicate and to be part of that Friend of Bungie community again. That's going to happen. I don't know what form it's going to take yet. So as far as an elephant in the room, I don't worry about that. I think it's a very good question. And I think what you need to do, give me a little bit of time, I'll come up with something. Now that I got the book written, I got time to do that kind of stuff, right? Jerry Thompson, did you put in for the Pennsylvania elk hunt? I think I have like 9 preference points on rifles, which would be crossbow. At least that'd be my attempt with crossbow. And I think I have last year's archery preference point as well. So yes, I put in for it every year. And so did Genevieve, my daughter. She now has preference points for elk in Pennsylvania as well. Do you know we can hunt elk in Pennsylvania? How incredible is that? Alrighty, so here we go. We're getting right about to the end here. The community thing sounds great, Greg Strabrilla. Thank you, sir, and I really do appreciate it, and I hope that takes form sooner rather than later. What I'm thinking, I don't want to give away all the plans I've got, but you know me, I've always got plans. I know I took a lot of time off. This is the last thing I'm going to say during this live stream that I'll address. I took a bunch of time off, a couple of months there, but now you know why. Now you know why. We bought a new house, right? So we've been painting. We painted the entire inside of that house. Mostly my wife and mother-in-law and my daughter doing the work. I go to work and then come home and try and do something after work. I've been mowing that lawn, so I've been mowing, well, I don't mow this place, but I've been mowing that place. And it's, like I said, it's an acre. But I keep that lawn mowed, and I don't know if I've lost any weight, but I've redistributed some weight as a result of that, and I feel like $1 million. I really do. State game lands or not, here I come, right? Whether Genevieve and I hunt on the state game lands or here over these food plots we put in, whatever. But I'm in better shape now, and I'm better off because of it, and better able to make these videos because of it as well. So I've had a lot going on. So that's the reason that there has not been more consistent videos. Once we get all the rest of the stuff out of this house and into that house, then it's just making videos. Then it's just spending time with Friends of Bungie. And it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be just like it has been over the last 7 years, but even better. So hang in there. I've got plans. I do. And I look forward to sharing those plans with you. As we go forward in Crossbow Appreciation Month, videos coming out again tomorrow. And then we've got the season coming up. We've got the 37 plus days of awesome. This year I think it's like 42 days of awesome or something. So it's going to be awesome, right? And I've got another hunt scheduled this year. Remember last year I went on that Cinco Deer hunt? Got a chance to share that with you. That's a little bit different. This year, I'm still doing, the coronavirus is not going to stop me. It's not going to stop the meet and greet. It's not going to stop the 37 days of awesome, the 42, whatever it is, days of awesome. It's not going to stop my other hunting plans. I have other hunting plans, and I look forward to sharing those with you. Until that time, kaboom, there it is. I typed it. Jason Landrial. I've seen your name dozens of times, and I don't think I've ever pronounced it. That's the best I can do with it. But All hail Bungie to each of you guys. Bungie can't contract COVID-19. Yakking Pat, thank you, sir. 100%, I agree, 100%. That Bungie is immune to such piddly things as that. We just got to keep our heads on straight. Stay healthy. Good luck, you folks. I'll talk to you very soon, you friends of Bungie. Until next time, until tomorrow, have a great night. Thank you. Thanks a lot, really.